Good evening.
Kavod Haraf, how are you? Shavuot Tov.
Thank God. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to number 36. Let's over here. כתב מרדכי, says the מרדכי. בפרק הקורא את המגילה, מספק. עומד שהשיב רבנו שמשון בן אברהם על כהן שנאמר לו תינוק. This rabbi, he answered a question regarding a Kohen that circumcised the child who met and he died. ונושא את כפיו. So he says, right, that even though he killed this baby, can still do the priestly blessing. This doesn't resemble a Kohen that killed somebody. Because over there, in this subject, Mayra ben Mezid is talking about somebody who killed willingly. Like the verse says here, even if you tell me the shogeg, it even applies when it's inadvertent. Shani hacha de ichaven l'shem mitzvah. But here it's different. Why? Because he was he was intending to do a mitzvah, brit milah. Then he goes on to say, and also, who's gonna say, right, that that this baby his months were over. Let's see what that means. Yeah. I guess it means that he was like premature, maybe. And also it says the wind also confused him. That's what it says also in this book. Interesting. Also this rabbi writes. The name of the Rama. Interesting. So yeah, so basically, right, this rabbi is saying that even though he killed somebody, but he did it for a mitzvah, and also he gives other reasons to say that he's not disqualified. Okay, let's see the Shulchan Aruch.
Kavod Haraf, you said here that the months of the baby were not over premature?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess it could mean that. Oh yeah, okay, I get it. Um, because they had this rule in the old days. The rule was that if a baby was born 8 months, he
Mhm.
wouldn't live.
After the circumcision?
No, he's talking about in general.
In general,
So
okay, okay.
he wouldn't live. So the fact that he circumcised him maybe didn't really kill him. It was the fact that he was premature. That's
And
what I'm
and
trying to say.
what's okay? And the halakha for premature babies and circumcision is still done in the 8 days, correct? Unless he has jaundice. I think that's what you wrote on. Did you wrote that on one of your halachot?
Maybe, but here we're talking about not 8 days. We're talking about 8 months.
Excuse me, 8 months. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Meaning 8 days for the circumcision for a 8 month baby.
right. But 8 days applies to every baby. You know what I mean? It's a general.
Okay, that's what. Okay,
It doesn't
thank you.
only apply to 8-month baby. But anyway, right? What he's trying to say is that since he was premature, maybe he died because of
And
prematurity,
not okay.
not
Okay.
because of the milah.
Yes, yes. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, interesting. So anyway, let's see. Right. So it says in Shulchan Aruch, Mar Tinok Umet. Right. He circumcised the son. The son. It wasn't his son, right? Whatever, somebody, and he died. Nosed kapav. He can still bless the people. Ve'im ha'am me'ananim acharav. But if the people there's a rumor going around, shehu shofech damim, that he is right, dangerous small hell, right? He tends to kill babies. Kivan shelo nitbarer hadavar. So he says, since it wasn't clarified yet what's going on, he's sad kapav, so he can still bless the people. Yeah. So what do you see from here? You learn a couple of things, right? Number one is that the rule of the coin killing somebody doesn't apply in this case, where he was doing milah. Why is that? As we said, right? Because he's doing a mitzvah and so forth and so on. And also, he says another interesting thing here, that if people are got like murmuring about him, right? That he's he spills blood. What does that mean? He's like a careless mohel. He's got a problem. So what are we talking about? We're talking about somebody who, let's see, we'll see. Kivan Shadlonit Baradabar, since it wasn't clarified yet, he said kapab. So in other words, what he's trying to say is that we don't really know if that's true, what the rumor that's going around. So therefore, we cannot disqualify him, because of a rumor. In general, right, as a general rule, to disqualify somebody from something requires like witnesses, two kosher witnesses. Otherwise, you can't disqualify. We don't go according to rumors, right? So let's just see what the Mishnah Berurah says here. Just interested to see if he has anything to add to this.
Kavod Haraf, as for the witnesses to be kosher, they have to be male and they have to be Shomer Shabbat. And what
Absolutely.
else? And is there another condition?
There's a lot of rules regarding witnesses. It's a long discussion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's a big piece of the Shulchan Aruch and the Choshen Mishpat.
Okay.
What makes a kosher witness and so forth and so on. If you'd like to learn that, I wouldn't mind. But
No. I know that. I think the I would say the most what I've read. No, I guess the general would be that they have to be male and they have to be shomer Shabbat.
yeah,
No?
that's just two things, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff.
Okay.
Anyway,
And
right? We're not going to get into that now, but maybe someday. So anyway, right? But what are we trying to say here? So it says Mishnah Berurah here.
thank you.
Right. So he's saying like this, right, Mishnah Berurah, that there's a rumor going around about him. That he really killed somebody. In other words, he murdered somebody. Not during Milah, he actually killed somebody. So even regarding that, right, we can't disqualify him because it's just a rumor. So he says also here, Mishnah Berurah, right, says, what's the reason why? Because you don't have witnesses, right? You need witnesses to disqualify somebody. There's no other way to do it. There's no other. Okay, good. So
Thank you, Kavod.
okay, so let's go on. Another interesting thing he says here. Lamed Zayin, Katav Mordechai, right? It says the Mordechai, the Perek HaKoreh et HaMegillah. This place, Omed, Shehashiv Rabbeinu Shimshon ben Abraham. This rabbi answered a question. HaKohen Shamal et HaTinok. Oh no, sorry, this one. This one. Nishtamed lo isa et kapav. So another person who's disqualified is the one who became an idolater, right? Who worshipped idols. He's also disqualified. Besof menachot. Where is this? In Menachot Kuftet Amud Bet in the end. Tanan HaKohanim sheshimshu bebet chonyo lo yishamshu. So it says over there that the Kohanim that served in this temple, right, which was idolatrous according to one opinion, they shouldn't anymore do the service, the Mikdash, Yerushalayim in Jerusalem. Then Tzarich Lomar ledavar acher, and all the more so for something else. What does that mean? Shenemar, Ach lo yalu kahanei abamot hamizbeach Adonai b'Yerushalayim. They should not go up to bless the people. Peresh Rashi, then Tzarich Lomar ledavar acher, im shimshu la'avodah zara, lo yishamshu od b'Yerushalayim. They should not. Rashi says, if they already served as idolatrous priests, they shouldn't serve anymore in Jerusalem. The Katvu Shama Tosfot says there Tosfot, Sefer Azohar Hazahir, right? Maybe it's not Zohar. Hevi Raya Mikan, it brings from here, right? A source. Shekohen Shenishtamed Lo Yisad Kapav. The Kohen that became idolatrous should not bless. V'zeu dat harambam. That's what the Rambam also says. L'fi datam, according to their opinion, v'day de'afilu shav b'tshuva lo mehane. Wow. So according to them, he says, doesn't even help if they did teshuvah. It's already too late. Once they got disqualified, that's it. Right? They're off. Lo mehane dekara de'ach lo yalu kane be'amot. B'shavu b'tshuva nami ma'arei. So it says right that the verse that disqualifies them is also talking about if they did teshuvah. לכן מתניתין דכהנים ששימשו בבית חוניו. Also, he says the Mishnah talks about the Kohanim that served in this idolatrous temple. Afilu b'shavu b'tshuva mashma. It implies also there that even if they did teshuvah, they're still disqualified. So here in this case, right, teshuvah doesn't help you. In most cases, it does, but when it comes to this, no. Okay. ממש כתב ממנו, that what Rabbeinu wrote, ורש"י כתב, כיוון ששב בתשובה יכול לישא כפיו. But Rashi holds that if he did teshuvah, he can do it. לכן כתבו שם התוספות, that's also Tosfot says this, בשמו his name, והביא ראיה מסיים באותה משנה, that he brings a source from how he concludes in the Mishnah, הרי אלו כבעלי מומין, these are considered to be like blemished people, וכיוון דלא מצינו כהן בעל מום, and since we don't find a Kohen who's blemished, Shehe Pasul Ledukhan, there's going to be disqualified for blessing. Ela Imken, unless Haya Mum Biadav, unless he had a blemish in his hand. She'ah Mistaklin bo, because people stare at it. The two Midikatane Lu Shamshu Mikdash B'Yushalayim, and also it says since it teaches that they shouldn't do the service in Jerusalem. And that's what you need in Jerusalem to teach you that in these places, right, which are not Jerusalem, they were allowed to serve there. All the more so in our times, because there's no temple today. For sure they're kosher when it comes to blessing. ולקרוא בתורה תחילה, and also to read in the Torah. וכן כתבו התוספות, that's what's in תוספות פרק בתורה דתניות, כתב המוריכי, says the מוריכי, פרק הקורא את המגילה, עומד, שכן השיבו רבנו שמשון בן אברהם ורבנו גרשום. So there are some rabbis who agreed with Rashi, these rabbis. וכן כתוב בהגאות מימוניות, it also says this in הגאות מימוניות. כתבו בשם רבנו גרשום, they also wrote name this rabbi, וכל עוז יש להפך בזכות בעלי תשובה. So he says we should try to always, credit the בעלי תשובה. וכתבו שרבנו שמחה כתב גם כן מהר"ם בשם רש"י, אח רביה ושלטות כתבו שלא יישא כפיו דלא עדיף מהורג. So there's a big מחלוקת here, right, going on. Some say if they did teshuvah, it's okay. Some say it's not okay. And they say, oh, where do we learn that from? From the one who killed, right? Also, there we say, if you did teshuvah, it's not okay. Nefesh. Aval Rabbeinu Simcha Peresh. But this rabbi explained, De'ahu b'shelo asa teshuvah aire. That's talking about we didn't do teshuvah. Et kameshano. The dat sefer mitzvot gadol k'Rabbeinu Gershom. So this rabbi holds like that rabbi. Umash katav Rabbeinu she'avi Rabbeinu Gershom raya. And that which the Torah said that the Rabbeinu Gershom brought a source. From Yerushalmi. Shelo tomar ploni kohen megale arayot. You shouldn't say over there, right? It says there that you shouldn't say this person kohen does all kinds of promiscuity. Kvar katabti gabe kohen sheharag et hanefesh. So I already wrote regarding a kohen that killed somebody. The Rambam mokela, but the Rambam right, qualifies this as kesheno medaktek v'mitzvot, that he's not careful about the mitzvot. He's loose, not so, not so strict, not so frum, right, whatever. And people are talking about him, but if it's for sure that he killed somebody, or he changed his religion, whatever, became an idolater, he has become disqualified from his holiness. Okay. And then he goes on, "Umash katav Rabbeinu b'shem Rabbi Netronaim," that which Rabbeinu wrote the name of this rabbi, she'en la'alot b'Torah Rishon. Also, he shouldn't go up to the Torah Rishon, right? The first to go up to the Torah. If he did these things, right? We're talking about he became an idolater. B'shem Sefer HaZahir, the name of this book. Katav Rabbeinu de lo mistaber le v'chen yireh. So this rabbi, the Torah says, he doesn't agree with it. So we're talking about obviously if he did teshuvah, right? Otherwise, there's no question whatsoever, right? If he did teshuvah, he's saying he shouldn't go up to the Torah Rishon. He shouldn't go up to the Torah first. V'chen katav samak. It also says in Samak Kuf Yud Aleph, the aliba de kuli alma, that everybody agrees that mutar likro Torah Rishon the Sefer Torah. You're allowed to call him the Sefer Torah first. Katav Agul says this rabbi, ve'ama davar likroto. The Gam Nisa Kapav. It says the custom is, this rabbi says, that they allow him everything, right? To bless the people and also to go up first to the Torah. So says Bet Yosef, right? Halachically speaking, it seems like we can rely on this lenient opinion that says that if they did teshuvah, we can allow them to do all these things, right? Interesting. Okay. So he says also another reason that we mentioned is that we want to be, encourage the Bala Teshuvah to come back and repent. So that's why we want to give them some, some credence, right? Whatever, right? That they should have, they should be motivated to do Teshuvah. Because they're not going to be, left out. Because otherwise they're going to be discouraged, and they're going to say, well, they won't let me do anything anyway, so what's the point, So therefore, right, we allow them to do all these things when they come back. Okay, so it seems that the other I'm sorry. The ad kan no pligi ela ben nishmad yotzono. Says anyway, it seems that they're only arguing when he changes religion willingly. Dumya de kohanim sheshimshu bebet chonio, like these people who serve as idolatrous temple. Aval hecha the nensu, but if they were forced, like the anusim, these maranos, whatever they call them, right? People like this. If they were forced, afilu ledat Rambam b'Sefer HaZahir, even according to Rambam, this book, nosek kapav, that he can definitely bless, because he was forced. He was basically, it was extortion, basically. Kapav de'u lo mikre, nosek kapav de'u lo mikre, because that's a person like that is not called meshumad ela anus. He's not called a person like that, who was forced. He's not called like a renegade. He's called he's forced. He was forced to do it. Even though what he did was wrong, but anyway, right? It's not so bad like it would be. That's only if he was forced into avodah zarah, into idolatry. And he didn't actually serve it. Because even if he did serve it, even if it was forced, the Rambam says shelo yisad kapav, that he shouldn't he shouldn't bless. Even though he did teshuvah. So it implies from his words she'afilu lo nishtamed, even though he wasn't forced. Since he served it, he has become disqualified. Since they differentiated and also his language implies like that, it says. Shkatab Gabe Kohen, the side where he writes regarding the Kohen, Shinishtamed, that he became forced to idolatry. He forced him. I'm sorry, no, not forced. He became idolatrous by will. Even if he repented, but lo katav v'shab b'tshuva. It doesn't say that he he did tshuva kemo gabe kohen regarding like a kohen. Shabbat avodah zarah, they served idolatry. V'kal le'avim. Okay, so it's interesting. There's a lot of points he makes here. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch. Get it straight. So it says in Shulchan Aruch like this. Mumar la'avodat elilim, right? If a person became idolatrous, became an idolater, lo yisad kapav, he's not allowed to, right, to bless the people. So we're talking about a Kohen, obviously, right? Some say if he did teshuvah, noseh kapav, that he can bless, right? So it seems like the Shulchan Aruch here goes according to the first opinion, that like the Rambam, that if he did teshuvah, he still cannot bless. And then you have the second opinion, which says he can if he did teshuvah, which is also a very important opinion. Interesting, because why do I say that? Because in the Bet Yosef, he seemed to have ruled that he can. So here it seems to contradict the Bet Yosef, which happens, by the way, sometimes. You have a contradiction between the Shulchan Aruch and the Bet Yosef. How is that? Because since the Shulchan Aruch was written after the Bet Yosef, so sometimes what happens is that he changes his mind in the interim, so you get a different conclusion. So therefore, the rule is, if there's a machloket between the Bet Yosef and the Shulchan Aruch, we go like the Shulchan Aruch. This is the rule. Since it was written later, so it's the last word. Okay, interesting. But the Ramah here seems to go like the second opinion. But says the Shulchan Aruch in the end, but if he was forced into it, right, that's something else. Everybody agrees that he can bless, right? So these Maranos, right, who were forced into idolatry, they could bless, that would be the idea. Yeah, so interesting. Let's just take a look at the Mishnah Berurah here, what it says.
I think I came in a little bit later. Are we specifically talking about what sin does he have to do teshuvah for?
We're talking about that he became an idolater, basically.
Right? Idolater. Because you were comparing it, I thought I heard at one point to the idea that you can't do teshuvah for murder.
Yeah, so that's even more strict, the murder.
Wouldn't that be because it's impossible to get forgiveness because of the person not being here anymore?
That's not really the reason. The reason is because, the poskim say like that. In other words, the poskim don't have the same. They don't have the same opinions regarding this case and that case. A little bit different.
Okay.
But anyway, right? When it comes to idolatry, so let's see what the Mishnah Berurah says. Right, so Mishnah Berurah says, according to the strict opinion, which is the Rambam, they compare it to murder, and this is the reason why they're strict about it. They're stringent. Another interesting thing he says, the Mishnah Berurah, is that the Achronim wrote that let's say the guy became Muslim, right? So that's not really idolatry so much. But anyway, he says, right, that regarding this rule, he's considered to be a renegade anyway. So therefore, he cannot he cannot bless the people. So becomes a Muslim and then comes back, the same issue like a Christian. There's no difference. Even though, technically speaking, there is a difference there. Another thing the Mishnah Berurah has is also, right, if he desecrates Shabbat in public, same thing, right, cannot bless.
Even if he did tshuva, or is
That's the question, right? Exactly. So let's see regarding that question.
Meaning a public tshuva, no? That every
right.
No?
Yes. So yeah. Yeah, so it seems like the Mishnah Berurah is saying that once he became, Mechalel Shabbat, tshuva will not help him. Interesting, right? So meaning what? That this rule is not like the other rules in the Torah. This is something unique. Because when it comes to other things, tshuva does help. That's one Mishnah Berurah. Let me just see. There's also another one here. This is according to the first opinion, right? Which is stringent. But the question is, what about the second opinion? Yeah, so the truth is, I don't really see the Mishnah Berurah that he paskins here, like one opinion or the other. But there's also a little bit more here. In Biur Halacha. Yeah, so okay, so the Mishnah Berurah doesn't really decide here what's the halacha, but it seems like he favors the first opinion because he talks about it more. There's one more piece over here. Just one second.
The opinion of the Rambam, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay, so it's an interesting situation. The Bet Yosef paskin to be lenient, and then the Shulchan Aruch implies that he's stringent more because he brings it as the first opinion, and then we have the Ramah, which seems to be lenient, and then we have the Mishnah Berurah, which seems to be stringent. So, what can I tell you? According to the rules of the Shulchan Aruch, we have to go according to the stringent opinion here. Even though in the Bet Yosef he was lenient. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, Chazak Baruch, be blessed with wealth, health, happiness. See you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem. Have a great week. Lots of success for our army, for our soldiers, for our brave people there who are defending the country and destroying the enemy, destroying the Nazis. B'ezrat Hashem. What an amazing thing that they're doing over there. It's incredible. There's still a lot more to do, so we have to keep praying. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, Chazak Baruch, Laila Tov. We'll see you tomorrow.
Kabbalah, thank you so much.
All the best.